The Mandalorian episode 4 is here. I just watched it. I wanted to give my raw reaction and sort of breakdown of it like we have been doing. So right off the bat, I want to say I like this episode. I didn't love this episode. It wasn't my favorite episode of the season so far, but at this point, the show has completely just got me. Like, I'm just on this, and I was very excited to see where the show's going. I'm like hungry each week to get to Friday to watch the episode, and I'm just so happy to be back in this universe with these characters that watching it is pure joy. So even though this isn't my favorite episode, I still enjoyed the heck out of it, and I still absolutely love the show. So let's start with the things that I really liked, and then I'll get into some of the stuff that I wasn't so crazy about, and then kind of talk about where I think the show is going from here. First up on the things that I really liked is Cara Dune. Yes, this would be Gina Carano's character. We've known she was coming on the show for a while now, but now she's here, and honestly, I thought she did amazing. I really like her character. Not only do I think the character itself is really cool, but Gina acted it very well, and she was very well directed in this episode. It was just a really good introduction for this character, because let's just be honest, like, Gina's not a career actor, and so there's always like questions when people like that show up on a big stage like this, how is it going to be? I thought she nailed it. She really acted it well, and she was really well directed as well. And in a sense, I mean, I kind of think like this whole episode is just to introduce us to this character. And so in a way, the episode completely succeeds because I absolutely love the character. I'm hoping we get to see more of her, and I think we will. I think we've seen shots with her fighting with the Mando in different settings in the promotional stuff. So I'm assuming their paths are going to cross again, maybe sooner rather than later. I absolutely loved the inclusion of the ATST, and it's not just the fact that there's an ATST in the episode. The way it was used was awesome. I love the red light that's in it that gives it this look of almost having these red menacing eyes. That was really cool. The way it just comes out of the bush, that was really cool too. It was a really good introduction to it. So, just as a hardcore Star Wars fan, having an awesome ATST scene in this episode was very nice. It kind of just goes to show, like, you could just cop one of those ATSTs and you're pretty much the baddest person on the planet. As long as you've got one of those, depending on the planet, you could pretty much live and rule as a king with just one ATST, which is pretty cool. Now, I also liked the small amount of character development and lore development when it came to the Mandalorian and his interactions with the Widow. She's asking him about the helmet. He explains a little bit more of his past. We now know for certain that he was just adopted into Mandalorian culture after his parents were killed. We kind of knew that already because of the wording of the foundling. But yeah, that's what the foundlings are. Just people that sort of are maybe orphaned and then brought into Mandalorian culture. And he's literally never taken off his helmet in front of another person since he was a boy. And then we also get a shot of him actually taking the helmet off and setting it beside him. So we know he takes the helmet off when he eats now, and he's just looking out at Baby Yoda. But I'm like wondering, like, that still seems really risky, bro. Like, just those kids could just look around and see you and see your face, and then you'd have to like murder all these children.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
So all that stuff's really cool. I really like this. So let's get into some of the stuff that I wasn't so crazy about. Number one, I'm not a fan of the, like, teaching the villagers how to fight trope. I mean, I get it. It's a tried and true trope. People love that trope. But particularly, like, when episodes are a half hour and the pacing of these episodes just has to be really like snap, snap, boom, boom. They really don't have a lot of time to waste. I feel like it just doesn't fit well within those time constraints. Like, we're really to believe that they trained up these villagers in a way and came up with this plan and did all of this, in probably a number of days, right? But just because the episode's only a half hour long, it just feels strange. I don't think you can pace a trope like that really well. And is that like really nitpicky? Of course it is, but that's just my honest takeaway. I was like, I'm not crazy about this trope. But again, the show just has me at this point. So it's not like I threw up my arms and walked away from the TV. It's like, no, I'm not a huge fan of that trope. I'm also not crazy about this idea of Mandalorian obviously having chemistry with this villager, the widow lady or whatever. I mean, it's really interesting how deep they are going with these tropes, because to me, she even looks Native American. And so it literally just rings of old Westerns where literally like Clint Eastwood just comes and helps this village out and ends up falling in love with this Native girl, but he's not about that life or can't be about that life. And I get it. I get why they're doing it, but I just wasn't crazy about it. Although I will say this, I thought she was going to get fridged. I thought she was going to die for sure, and she doesn't die, so that's pretty cool, and kind of a new twist on that old lemon. But as my buddy pointed out, it's like, it's Star Wars, so can they really fridge this lady? I think maybe it's bad enough that he'll never see her again, probably. But either way, I wasn't like super crazy about that stuff. Now, the sniper at the end, that's really interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the flute guy that was bringing up the ships on the bounty hunter planet. And so it's like, even the taxi Uber getter guy is an assassin on that planet. That's pretty interesting. But he ends up being the one that finds Baby Yoda and finds the Mandalorian on this backwater planet. And I think obviously what this is meant to show us is that the Mandalorian's not safe. He's not safe. They're continuing to track Baby Yoda. Wherever he goes, they're probably going to find him. So they're going to have to figure out that tracking situation or come to some kind of a bigger resolution when it comes to protecting this Baby Yoda. Because Mandalorian wants to leave Baby Yoda there, and I think that would have been cool, and everything would have been hunky-dory. But obviously, you know, the story has to push forward in a way where I think these two characters are still connected until that whole issue resolves. Basically, like, the Mandalorian is not going to get out that easy with this job. This is going to be very challenging. So I expect that they will try to now go find a way around this problem, you know, and run into some trouble, probably run back into Cara Dune, and that is where we will go with that. And it's like, I don't want to call this episode filler, but I just get this sense that, like, if we're really only doing 8 episodes and they're only a half hour long, do you really have a half hour to do the things that you did in the story? I mean, you know, obviously John's the one that wrote it. He thinks that he does have that time, and I expect that probably the back half, the next 4, will really pick up the pace if it's going to get to some kind of crazy resolution for these characters. So I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. It was like, I like it. I'm having a good time, but the pacing, not only of each episode, but of the show overall, is sort of a point of concern for me. But in total, I mean, it's just a heartwarming episode. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it has that vibe. Even the music is very heartwarming. Ludwig Göransson, it continues to kill it. The music in the village sounded to me like something out of Legend of Zelda or something. It was like, I liked it a lot. But it's just like a heartwarming episode, and it's meant to show the Mandalorian softer side, I guess, and introduce Cara Dune, and in those ways, it completely succeeds. So overall, good episode. Not my favorite, but I liked it. But that's it. That's my raw reaction, sort of breakdown of the episode. I liked it. I'm very curious what you thought about this episode. So let me know your thoughts about The Mandalorian, Cara Dune, all the things that happened in this episode. Let me know in the comments section below. And of course, I wanted to mention I am going on vacation. Many of you already know this, but the videos will be a little bit more spread out, and I'm going to put a bunch of them kind of in the tank. So you'll just be getting videos that I've wanted to do for a while, just things that I'll break down over the next couple of days, and then we'll get back to business the week following. But that's going to do it for this one. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.